Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi concludes highly successful US visit, both the nations to double bilateral trade to $500 billion, defense partnership set to scale new heights. World leaders, including Zelensky, arrive for 61st Munich Security Conference with Ukraine top on agenda. Russia says it will not participate in the conference. And 38th edition of National Games concludes in Uttarakhand. Services Control Board tops the medal tally. Good evening to all the viewers joining us at this evening broadcast on DD India Live. To begin with the top story of the hour. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has successfully concluded a productive and substantive visit to the United States. Making greater strides in the India-U.S. special partnership and relationship, U.S. President Donald Trump welcomed Prime Minister Narendra Modi with a hug, saying, "We missed you a lot." Showing his regards towards India's Prime Minister, Trump also pulled out a chair for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Trump presented Prime Minister Modi with a signed copy of the book called Our Journey Together and wrote a personal message on it that read, "Mr. Prime Minister, you are great." The book is a compilation of the photos of their past interactions. Well, Donald Trump hailed Prime Minister Narendra Modi's negotiating skills as well and called him a better negotiator during the news conference after their bilateral meeting on Thursday. Trump also called him as a great leader. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also expressed his delight in meeting the US President.
Yes, go ahead, please.
This is Saurabh Shukla from News Mobile. Mr. President, you spoke about Prime Minister Modi as a tough negotiator. Who was a tougher negotiator today and who has a better negotiating tactic when it comes to tariffs?
Oh, he's a much tougher negotiator than me, and he's a much better negotiator than me. There's not even a contest.
Well, India and the United States are setting the stage for a groundbreaking trade partnership with ambitious goals in mind. Two world powers, one shared vision. Yes, ma'am.
Though the issue of tariffs was a sticking point between the two countries right from the beginning of the visit, but the talks happened in a conducive environment with both sides putting out their concerns, and the leaders mandated their officials to work out a comprehensive deal on trade that addresses the issue of tariffs and market access.
In a historic announcement on Thursday, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and US President Donald Trump unveiled their target to boost bilateral trade to a staggering $500 billion by 2030, doubling the current figures. The two leaders reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening economic ties between the oldest and largest democracies.
अमेरिका के लोग राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप के मोटो मेक अमेरिका ग्रेट अगेन यानी मागा से परिचित है। भारत के लोग भी विरासत और विकास की पटरी पर विकसित भारत 2047 के दृढ़ संकल्प को लेकर तेज गति शक्ति से विकास की ओर अग्रसर है। अमेरिका की भाषा में कहूं तो विकसित भारत का मतलब मेक इंडिया ग्रेट अगेन यानी मिगा।
Energy security for India has emerged as a key issue in trade talks. PM Modi highlighted the importance of increasing oil and gas trade to ensure India's energy security. The two countries are also ramping up their cooperation in the nuclear energy field, especially in the development of small modular reactors.
द्विपक्षीय व्यापार को 2030 तक 2 गुना से भी अधिक बढ़ाकर $500 बिलियन तक पहुंचाने का लक्ष्य निर्धारित किया है। हमारी टीमें एक पारस्परिक लाभकारी ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट को शीघ्र संपन्न करने पर काम करेगी।
The announcement comes as the US and India work towards finalizing a mutually beneficial trade agreement that would focus on cutting tariffs and improving access to each other's markets. As both nations look to expand trade, the issue of tariffs remains a topic of discussion. The proposed trade deal aims to reduce these barriers, making it easier for businesses to thrive on both sides.
We're just going to get along well. We're going to get along with all countries. We're going to do very well. We're going to be doing, I think, record business, record numbers. And we're going to work with India also. We have some very big trade deals to announce in the very near future.
The key takeaway from PM Modi's US visit is clear. India and the US are working hand in hand towards a future of shared growth and opportunity. With a focus on energy, defense and trade, the two nations are setting a new course for bilateral ties and partnerships. Amritpal Singh from Washington, D.C., DD India.
Well, security was high in Munich as the Munich Security Conference started on Friday with some 5,000 officers deployed around the Bavarian capital as the government heads and business leaders arrived for the conference. Earlier, US President J.D. Vance arrived at the Munich Security Conference venue. On his arrival, Vance told the reporters that he plans to discuss Russia-Ukraine conflict at the conference.
About NATO, and particularly the President's desire to see NATO spend a little bit more resources on defense. And I know that's something Secretary General Rudda agrees with me on. We're going to talk, of course, about the Ukraine-Russia conflict and how to bring it to a negotiated settlement. And I'm sure we'll talk about some other areas of cooperation, too. I mean, my high-level argument to these folks is, look, Europe is, of course, a very important ally of the United States. NATO is a very important military alliance, of course, that we're the most significant part of. But we want to make sure that NATO is actually built for the future.
Well, J.D. Vance is expected to meet Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who is also in Munich for the conference. Briefing the media on the sidelines of the conference, Zelensky said that Europe would unite around Ukraine for its own national security reasons. Well, Russia will not be attending the Munich Security Conference this year as it has not been invited. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova criticized the event, saying it has shifted from a security-focused platform to one that supports Kyiv and promotes policies harmful to Europe's own security. Moscow's absence marks another sign of deepening divisions between Russia and the West.
Russian officials are not invited to the Munich Security Conference. This decision was made several years ago. It is a politicized decision. It is a strange decision. So representatives of the Russian Foreign Ministry as well as other Russian officials, structures and agencies will not attend. This I can tell you for sure.
Now, as the world leaders gather for the Munich Security Conference, joining us with more is DW correspondent Chiponda Chimbelu from Berlin. Well, good evening, Chiponda. What has been the reaction in Europe so far?
Well, European leaders feel blindsided. So far, the Trump administration hasn't said anything about having EU representatives at the talks with Russia on that peace plan for Ukraine. Now, on Wednesday, President Trump said that he had spoken with Russian President Vladimir Putin about ending the war in Ukraine. And until now, the United States, under the Biden administration, had made it very clear that Brussels would be part of any negotiations regarding a peace plan for Ukraine. But that is not what President Trump seems to be planning to do. Instead, he is positioning the United States to negotiate the terms of a Ukraine peace plan with Russia. Now, that means that he may try to get as much out of that deal for the United States. And if the EU is, of course, not at that table, the bloc will be left to deal with whatever terms are agreed on by Washington and Moscow. So far, the Trump administration has made it clear that the EU should pay the lion's share of rebuilding and securing Ukraine after any peace settlement. And that could cost the bloc an additional $3.1 trillion over the next decade, according to one estimate by Bloomberg Economics.
Now, what can we expect for European Union and the US relations?
It's not looking like much of a partnership right now. And one could argue that based on the rhetoric from Washington, that the United States wants to dictate what happens. So far, Europe has been on the receiving end, and it has had to respond to whatever Washington has thrown at it. So far, of course, the U.S. is taking the lead and determining what needs to be renegotiated in this partnership. And it has come out with some big chips to bargain with, like those reciprocal tariffs that are planned. And the bigger one, of course, negotiating a truce for the war in Ukraine with Russia. Now, to get ahead, the EU may need to get off the back foot. And perhaps we'll get to see some of that this weekend. Today, the Munich Security Conference begins, and many EU leaders will be there. Now, everyone will be watching to see what kind of rhetoric they use, especially in response to U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, both of whom, of course, are attending. Of course, what they say could help us read into what's next for EU-U.S. relations.
All right, thank you so much, Ipona, for joining us. Moving on. Now, German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier visited the site of car ramming attack in Munich on Friday. Steinmeier, accompanied by Munich mayor, laid a white rose at the site. Well, a man drove a car into a crowd in Munich on Thursday and injured at least 36 people. In a news conference on the incident, the Munich prosecutor said that the attacker, who's an Afghan national, has confessed of deliberately driving into the crowd. The police said that the attack is to be treated as a murder attempt. Now let's get you the latest in the Russia and Ukraine conflict. Russia on Friday denied claims by Kyiv that accuse it of carrying strikes on the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov dismissed the allegation, and it does not match the reality. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky claimed that an overnight drone strike by Russia damaged the radiation shelter of the Chernobyl plant. Zelensky also said that the damage caused a fire and the radiation levels have to be monitored continuously. And now let's get you all the news from around the world in brief. Ahead of a major national protest scheduled on the 15th of February in Serbia, students and actors marched from Belgrade to the central city of Kragujevac. The scheduled protest marks the anniversary of the first Serbian uprising against the Turks and the signing of the constitution in 1835. A fatal collision between a four-seated cycle and a car in a town in New Zealand's Martinborough killed one British cyclist and injured three other riders badly. Local police is investigating the cause of the accident. Apple's U.S. App Store restored TikTok after a ban delay until the 5th of April by the U.S. president. The outcome was in response to Trump's assurance that companies would not be fined for distributing or maintaining the Chinese-owned app. We're heading for a short break, but still to come on DD India Live. Up next, we'll get you a report on India's largest global textile expo 2025. And after the break, all you need to know about the famous Dokra art of Chhattisgarh.
Prasar Bharati, in collaboration with IIT Delhi and Software Technology Parks of India, is organizing the DD Robocon 2025 this year as well. In this National Robotic Championship, engineering students will get ample opportunities to showcase their ingenuity and potential. The national selection for this championship will be held on the 12th and 13th of July, and the winning team will get an opportunity to participate in the International ABU Robocon Championship to be held in Mongolia in August this year. So, hurry up! The last date of registration is the 16th of February. For more information, log on to www.ddrobocon.iitd.ac.in.
Welcome back after that short break. Now, India's national capital is currently hosting the country's largest textile exhibition called Bharat Tex 2025. The event is hosting 126 countries and more than 6,000 international buyers as well. Our next report brings you more details. Take a look.
India's Ministry of Textile is organizing Bharat Tex 2025 at New Delhi's Bharat Mandapam that brings buyers, sellers and investors under one single roof. Bharat Tex 2025 is the world's youngest and largest global textile show that focuses on forging partnerships and driving economic growth. Speaking about one of its kind exhibition in India, Union Minister of Textile Giriraj Singh said the event is witnessing a footfall from across the globe.
ये दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा भारत टैक्स जो टेक्सटाइल में एक्सपो के रूप में वो सबसे बड़ा है और ये नरेंद्र मोदी जी 16 तारीख को यहाँ आएंगे। पिछले साल 110 आए थे, इस बार 126 देशों से आने वाले हैं।
The event is not only promoting local artisan but is also hosting global investors in India.
We emphasized, we went local and we took up women. We thought let's employ the women. That way they teach the kids, feed the home and they stay. And the biggest USP of our company is that we've given the women looms in their own homes. They don't need to go out anywhere.
I visited this exhibition for the first time and I find it's really excellent and well organized. A lot of exhibitors, a lot of contacts, potential for the business in Russia, for starting the business in Russia for sure, and signing the contracts between our countries.
Bharat Tex 2025 is also providing women entrepreneurs an opportunity to explore the world of textile and showcase India's culture to the world.
I am coming from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and I am currently building my own brand, Raslili, for handloom textiles and handloom saris, and my aim is to take Indian art and Indian handicraft to the world.
The mega event will run until 17th February and is expected to attract over 6,000 international buyers from over 110 countries and over 120,000 visitors, including policymakers, global CEOs and industry leaders. Deepika Mehto's report for DD India.
When discussing art and culture of Chhattisgarh, it is impossible not to mention Bastar's Dhokra art. Now, the centuries-old art is not only a symbol of the state's identity, but has also made a mark both in India and abroad. Here's a report. Take a look.
India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has presented a unique creation of Chhattisgarh's traditional Dhokra art as a special gift to French President Emmanuel Macron. This distinct artwork represents India's rich cultural heritage. Dhokra art, considered an ancient technique dating back nearly 4,000 years, is famous for its intricate bronze craftsmanship and fine carvings. It not only represents India's traditional artistry, but also strengthens cultural exchange between India and France. These Dhokra sculptures, crafted by tribal artisans, are made from copper and brass. This traditional metal art has been passed down through generations and is created using a lost wax casting technique. The process involves sculpting a wax model, covering it with clay, and then heating it in a furnace. The wax melts away, leaving a hollow mold, which is then filled with molten metal. Once cooled, the clay is removed, revealing a beautifully crafted Dhokra sculpture.
It is a moment of great joy for Bastar that our Prime Minister Narendra Modi has gifted Bastar's Dhokra art to President of France. It is also a matter of pride that our work is not just promoted in India but also in foreign lands.
The demand for Bastar's Dhokra art is not just within India but also in countries like the USA, Germany, France and Japan. This art form has been a vital source of livelihood and the Indian government is actively promoting it through various initiatives. Dhokra art is not just a handicraft, it is a symbol of the rich cultural heritage of the tribal community. Somesh Patel for DD India in Chhattisgarh.
Now, India being the largest population in the world, its statistics is quite important for achieving sustainable developmental goals. United Nations thinks that India's statistical system is evolving rapidly to meet the growing demand for faster and more accurate data, and India is part of UN Statistical Commission for Cooperation and Collaboration. TD India correspondent Akhilesh Suman talked to UN resident coordinator Shomi Sharp on what he feels about India's statistical system and how cooperation with India is important. Take a listen.
Shombi Sharp is the Resident Commissioner of United Nations in India. Sir, we were talking about, statistical issues. So, what do you think about India's statistical system?
India being the largest country in the world, I think we can say that Indian data is the most important because the world's statistical assessments depend on India's data. So we're very proud and honored to work with the government, with Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, to work with NewsNight, to really ensure that the data systems here are moving as fast as the world is moving. And India has world-class digital public infrastructure. So India's models and SDG models are really, really important for other countries. We're working together in terms of South-South cooperation.
Do you have any plan to collaborate with India in future?
Absolutely. We're working very closely now with MOSPI, with NITI Aayog, with the state's statistical offices across the board. And again, we're really looking at how to leave no one behind, how to ensure that everybody is benefiting from this great Indian growth story that we're seeing unfold. We're also looking at how to ensure that the latest technologies, again, India's digital public infrastructure, how that is being used to really innovate in the data space. So
thank you so much, Excellency. So the ambassador is telling that, both UN and India have to learn from each other, and collaborations are there in future in big way. Akhilesh Suman for DD News and DD India from Delhi.
The closing ceremony of India's 38th National Games is underway in Nadan, Uttarakhand state. India's Home Minister Amit Shah has graced the event as the chief guest for the closing ceremony, and Union Sports Minister Mansukh Mandavia with other dignitaries also attending the event right now. Talking about the medal tallies, FSS Sports Control Board emerged as the overall champion for the 5th time, reclaiming the prestigious Raja Palendra Trophy. They dominated the medal tally with 68 gold, 26 silver and 27 bronze medals. On the other hand, Maharashtra finished second, while Haryana finished at the 3rd spot. Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared highlights of his fruitful visit to the United States. Issues discussed including energy to education, trade to technology and AI to space. Here's more.
We missed you. We missed you a lot.
अमेरिका संबंधों प्रगाढ़ बनाने में, उसको एक नई ऊंचाई देने में और व्यापकता देने में राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप की पहली टर्म की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका रही और मुझे विश्वास है कि दूसरे टर्म में भी हम उसी गति से आगे बढ़ेंगे। सबसे पुराना लोकतंत्र भारत, हम दोनों का मिलने का मतलब 1+1 2 नहीं, 1 और 1 11 होता है और ये 11 की शक्ति, वो ताकत विश्व के कल्याण के भी काम आएगी।
He's done a great job in India. Everybody talks about it. He's doing a really fantastic job. A great leader.
राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने भारत और अमेरिका संबंधों को अपने नेतृत्व से संजोया है, जीवंत बनाया है। जिस उत्साह से उनकी पहली टर्म में हमने मिलकर काम किया, वही उमंग, वही ऊर्जा और वही प्रतिबद्धता मैंने आज भी महसूस की है। अमेरिका के लोग राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप के मोटो मेक अमेरिका ग्रेट अगेन यानी मागा से परिचित है। अमेरिका की भाषा में कहूं तो विकसित भारत का मतलब मेक इंडिया ग्रेट अगेन यानी मीगा। जब अमेरिका और भारत साथ मिलकर काम करते हैं यानी मागा, मागा प्लस मीगा, तब बन जाता है मेगा पार्टनरशिप फॉर प्रॉस्पेरिटी। और यही मेगा स्पिरिट हमारे लक्ष्यों को नया स्केल और स्कोप देती है।
That's all for this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika, and from all of us here in New Delhi, thank you so much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.